Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lessons in Creativity with your host, Sydney Price. This is one of the last episode of Lessons in Creativity for this season. We really got through a full season of the podcast. I just wanted to complete something. There's no greater joy than being able to say yeah, I did that. So today's episode is not scripted at all. I'm gonna let you know that now. It is a topic that has been on my mind for a while now and something that I've kind of been wanting to talk about. So here we are, in the spirit of just kind of saying whatever is on your mind and just doing things, because sometimes you don't have to overplan it. I want to talk about overconsumption and the effect that it has on our creativity. For the girls that are trying to be out there doing the content creation thing, but also doing it in a way that is sustainable for your pockets, I just really want to kind of talk about what that looks like and ways to kind of make that sustainable for you. So yeah, we're going to talk about that today. This episode is partially inspired by Sierra Boudreau, the host of the podcast I'm on Your Side. I love her podcast. Oh my gosh. It feels like I'm on FaceTime, and I absolutely love that. She had brought up this very valuable point of overconsumption and impulse buying, and how she had made a whole entire list throughout the month of things that she almost bought on impulse. At the end of the month, she would add everything together, divide it in half, and save half of whatever she was going to spend, and then spend whatever she had left, essentially. One, is that not only just an amazing idea for just budgeting and things if you're new to budgeting, if you're new to learning how to manage your money, but I think it's also a great conversation starter around the fact that not only does overconsumption kind of rule and influence our society as a whole, also, especially when it comes to creativity, overconsumption is one of those things that hits us the hardest. Especially if you're a new creative, people tell you all the time, you need this, you need that. And 9 times out of 10, you don't need all of that. You just need a few easy things that you probably already have. I refer back to my childhood and my creativity a lot, even now, because it reminds me I don't need all of the stuff that I'm thinking that I need now, because I used to create with just my iPod, and I know that now we have advanced technology and we have this and we have that, so there's so many more options than just kind of resulting to the bare minimum. But I will also say to that too, there are so many different ways to use what you already have that you may not even really be thinking of. I think a big part of allowing yourself to be creatively challenged is to see, how can I use this differently? I've kind of wanted to start a series on my social media, talking about how you can utilize things that you already have to get the same result, right? Or find cheaper or more affordable options and alternatives. For example, I think right now one of the trending pieces of equipment is the mini mics, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, those are not the best quality mics. There's a reason why they are $5, even though it feels it's just $5, I could afford to spend that. Buying something that you probably don't really need, you just think that you need, when a lot of the times you could really just use your phone. The mic in your phone is way better. When it comes to creativity, just being really intentional with what you decide to buy is a huge game changer. My camera died, of course, but in the spirit of keeping it going, we're gonna do just that. I think where we left off, I wanted to start talking a little bit about intentions and being intentional when purchasing a new item or a new anything that you feel you need for your creative journey that's physical. It could be physical, it could be digital. I think I've just started to ask myself more questions around my why, because I don't want to get into a space where I become stagnant because I don't have something. And a lot of creators get stuck in that place. They feel like they can't create anything, or they can't get started, or they can't execute an idea they have simply because they don't have something else. I feel like that's not always the case, I think being able to identify the difference between a want and a need is really important, and understanding, like, is this something I want? Like, it would be better if, or something I need? Like, I cannot continue without. These are questions I've been asking myself a little bit more lately, especially as my business is growing and I'm starting to identify my needs between my wants. Also kind of seeing like what is more so an investment for my future. I had heard something at one point where it was like, essentially whatever you are buying right now, especially material things, it loses value the instant that you take it off of the market or off the shelf. It's like a car. As soon as you drive it out the lot, it's already depreciated in value. So I kind of think about content, equipment in the same way, and like material things in the same way. If I am buying something, how can I make this an investment for myself? Because technically it's going to lose its value as soon as I buy it. And honestly, like the immediate dopamine hit that you get, that whole experience is what you're looking for. Like as soon as that happens, it's over and you want something else. I think I've been asking myself more often, like, do I actually want this thing, or do I want the way it's going to make me feel? If it's the latter, then how can I get the feeling without buying this thing in particular? I don't know, it seems so simple, but it's also so complex. I feel like these are subconscious ways of thinking and thought patterns we as creators living in a capitalist society kind of like adopt without really knowing fully what that means. Moving with more intentionality is super important, and just kind of allowing yourself to ask yourself the real question, like get to the root of it. Why do I actually need this thing? And if I do need it, it's something that's going to benefit me now and in the future, then okay, great. In making those more intentional decisions, it has allowed me to feel every single thing in my life has meaning, and everything in my life has value. I think that's actually a concept behind minimalism. And I first found out about minimalism through Matt D'Avella. Matt D'Avella was the first creator that I had learned minimalism from. I loved his videos. Super cinematic, super awesome storytelling. The lighting was great in every video. And yet still he would say, like, you don't need all of this to create good videos. At the time when I was finding him, I think it was probably college or something, I was like, no, I absolutely need these things so I can look like you. Like, I want to have this level of quality. And I had to learn, like, it is less about the thing and more about how you use the thing. I think I'm really excited now and happy to see so many more creators talking about buying less and more so being creative and challenging yourself to use what you have, or essentially learning to use it in new ways and mastering what you already have before moving on to something else. These concepts are so important because it allows us to prevent ourselves from attaching our creative value to a material thing. So the last thing I kind of want to talk about is the ways in which we attach our value to material things. This is super hard. It's such a super hard concept because I feel like I have done that all my life. In a previous episode, I was kind of talking about the ways that we are socialized through family relationships, friend relationships, and relationships with ourselves and romantic partners. One way that I was shown love throughout my life was through material things, and that seeps into my creativity. I definitely think that if I don't have certain gear and certain things, that somehow my value goes down and the quality of my work is just not seen the same. And I think that way of thinking can be argued, right? Because quality content looks a certain way, and that's just the way that we've been socialized, that quality content exists. But what is quality content? I don't know, like the super high quality, high resolution videos, pictures, etc. I've kind of seen the opposite. Like, you can also say that the super crispy, super clear and sharp images versus the more grainy and nostalgic film-like images, you could say that one has higher quality than the other, but both of them are objectively the same. Like, I don't know. I think it's definitely a concept that's like, it depends on your perspective of what quality is. And throughout this entire season of the podcast, we've been redefining words, right? Consistency, relationships, and I think this is just one of them. What is quality to you? What is a need versus a want? I definitely feel like taking the time to really ask myself more of these questions and really determine where I'm trying to go when it comes to my content. What exactly is the look and the feel that I know that I want and I need? What do I already have that will allow me to get there? And what do I not have? What should I actually invest in? These are the questions that have allowed me to create and invest in my creativity more intentionally. I think all in all, it's a process that every single creator goes through, but it's something that if you can understand the root cause of it early in your journey, it will prevent you from just wasting your time and wasting your money on things you don't actually need. Yeah, I think that's it. Definitely let me know what your thoughts are on this topic in the comments below. And if you're listening to this wherever you listen to your podcast, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram at Sid the Creative. And yeah, let's talk about it. I really appreciate you guys for listening to all 10 episodes of Lessons in Creativity. I'm really excited for the next season of this podcast because I have so many other ideas and thoughts that I want to share with you guys. And also, I definitely think I want to start bringing on guests at some point. So feel free to also DM me with some of your favorite creators that you could see sharing their thoughts on this podcast as well. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Lessons in Creativity, and I will see you soon. Bye.